There are three different kinds of anger. I just want to talk application a little bit now, because we see Jesus getting angry. We see him going into the temple. He sees something he doesn't like. He goes off to the side. He makes this cord, this whip out of cords. He comes back over. He chases out the oxen, the sheep, the doves. He chases out those who are selling. He grabs a hold of tables and he flips tables over. And in our minds, it can look like a riot. It can look like, wow, he's gotten angry and he's in and he's just tearing things and he's flipping them over. And indeed he did. There's three kinds of anger. Two of these, it was not. The other one, it was. First of all, there is an outburst of wrath. And we all have experienced that. We have all had an outburst of wrath in our lives. For you kids who are here, it's a temper tantrum. That's what an outburst of wrath is. It just looks different on an adult than it looks on a child. We've all experienced people having temper tantrums in their car that we call road rage. And sometimes we've done it, right? We've been the one who's had that outburst of wrath, and I hopefully, like me, you are convicted when that happens to you. The Bible says, put away anger, rage, and malice. Rage, of course, we know what that is. You're angry, and so you rage. Malice is when you want to hurt somebody. That's what we're supposed to put away. We are never supposed to get angry where we want to hurt someone and where we have rage. The Bible says, be slow to anger. The Bible tells us that we are to not be provoked, to not be easily provoked. That's what love is. When we're walking in love, we're not easily provoked. And the Old Testament says it is a fool who has an outburst of wrath. And a wise person brings peace and calm, but a fool vents his wrath. And so we don't want to be foolish. It is foolish always for us in our home, with our children, with our spouses. It is always foolish for us to vent our wrath. That's not what Jesus was doing. Jesus did not have an outburst of wrath. He didn't walk in and see this happening and then go out of control, because Jesus is wise. He's the wise counselor. He would not have an outburst of wrath. The second kind of anger is repressed anger. That's when something happens and it makes you angry. Someone says something to you. Maybe a wife or a husband who's learned how to push each other's buttons. We become good at that after a few years. We know the exact thing to say, and there's some malice to it too. It might not be a rage, that kind of rage malice, but you say something because you know it gets to them. And when that happens to you, you don't say anything. You just kind of repress it inside. The Bible says that leads to a root of bitterness that defiles many. You don't want to be that person that represses rage. And if I can take the role of a marriage counselor right now, outbursts of wrath are horrible for marriages, but so is repressed anger, not dealing with it. Just if somebody needs to talk something out, if your spouse, then talk it out. Talk it out until they're done. Listen to what they have to say. Be sure that you give them that opportunity. It's okay to say, I don't want to talk about this right now, because feelings may be too fresh and you feel like I'm going to have an outburst of wrath. But don't put it off forever. Don't put it off for even a day. Take time to settle down and then talk to someone. If you are not easily provoked and you forgive, and if your spouse is not easily provoked and they forgive, then it can take those roots of bitterness that is causing all kinds of problems in your marriage, and it can take it out, or in your relationships of people around you. That wasn't the kind of anger that Jesus had. He did not have that kind of anger. It wasn't repressed. He didn't walk in and go, here they are again. You know, it wasn't that. He had the third kind of anger, and that is righteous anger. The Bible says the anger of men does not accomplish the things of God. And the Bible says, be angry and do not sin. There is a time to be angry. So what do? Well, we do what Jesus did. He went and dealt with the subject. He did not randomly go into the temple and start destroying something in the temple because he saw them selling and merchandising God's people. He had the authority, because he is God in the flesh, to put a stop to it, and he went and put a stop to it. Take the anger that you have that is a righteous anger and let it motivate you to do what you can do. How can you be part of the solution? Now, it's not always easy. It's not always easy to know, what can I do? But to do your part and do what you can do. You may feel like what you're doing doesn't accomplish very much. But if the entire church were to operate this way, where we would see something and have a righteous anger over it, and we would move to do what is right, there would be significant problems that would be solved because we did it. And may God use us when we become angry in a righteous way. May God use us to make a difference.